Hello friends, my name is Steve, and today in this exciting Miss New Media kind of behind the scenes kind of walkthrough thing, we're taking a look at the monitor upgrade that I made to my Blackmagic Ursa Mini 4.6K. Now, if you're familiar with this camera, you know there's this stupid idiot fold-out screen on the side that's so dumb and so stupid and shouldn't be on there because if you're trying to handhold, then the screen's right here, and that's no use. I don't want to use an EVF because EVFs are silly and expensive. I want to use a monitor because I'm used to using monitors. So we're going to take a look at what it takes to move that monitor from here to somewhere reasonable so you can use it. And even more exciting, not only can you move it here, you can move it off to the side so you have an AC on set. They can be off punching away at metadata while you're talking to the director doing something more interesting. So without further ado, let's hop into this footage time-lapse thing and we'll see what happens. All right, so here you can see that we are taking off the screws for the screen. There are 4 little screws around the perimeter. So we open it up, we see, whoa, there's just one cable that's connecting the screen assembly to the rest of the body, which is very good news because it means that we don't have to do too much work. So now here you can see the layout of the board, and you can see that it's just this one connector, but it turns out that connector is really hard to find. So hard to find, in fact, that I had to go and get a company to manufacture a custom cable for me because I couldn't find it anywhere. And they still didn't do it exactly right, so it made things a little bit more complicated. But I will put the schematics up online, so if you want to get one manufactured, you can. The overall cost for getting 2 cables was about $200, which is ridiculous, but you know that's what happens whenever you are getting stuff custom manufactured. But if you think about it, I would pay $200 more for this camera if it came with this functionality built in, and really it was only $100 a cable. Actually, really, it was only like $50 a cable and $100 to spin up the machine. So here we're just taking off the part of the camera that connects, or that covers up the connection between the screen and the camera. So it's just got a couple screws sitting around. It's pretty easy. And here's another look at this. We're just going to take this connector off. There we go. So it's a 50-pin LVDS connector.
There we have it.
It just pops right on the board. So pretty easy. And then here's that cable going through a little hinge assembly. So we'll take the back plate for our monitor assembly off. And then for a long time, I actually put the assembly back together and just ran the cable through that little opening and made a little bracket for it and used it like that, which was good enough for a long time while I waited for the cable to come in. It took a long time because it turns out China has like 1,000 holidays a month that people don't manufacture stuff in, which is crazy. And now we've got the cable and it's like a couple months later. So you can see I've just got the cable routed through the bottom of the assembly with some little cushioning, and I could just mount stuff on. So here we're just going through the process of taking that cable off. And there's that new cable. So I see that it fits, and that makes me happy. So now we'll take apart the entire camera, rig and all. And so there's that process. If you know me, you know I like lots of cheese on my camera. So we've got, I think it's a KMTV Ursa Mini rig. That still needs a few more modifications to it, but since I've been focusing more on post-production stuff, that's sort of fallen by the wayside. So this comes off pretty easily. Just a bunch of different sized Allen bolts, which is annoying. Just make it one size Allen bolt, 1 or 2, not like 8. But as that comes off, you'll see we'll get normal camera underneath, and then we'll start taking apart, you know, the real stuff. And that little screwdriver kit is amazing. It's totally worth it. It's come in handy so many times. So here we're just taking screws off the back first because that sort of clamps in over the other stuff. So it's good to get that loose before taking off the sides. And so we'll just loosen this guy. And then we'll be able to take it off a little bit. And then, so this side, the CFast card reader is sort of stuck onto another PCB in there, so you can't really take that side off all the way. It might just be slotted in there, but I didn't want to pull too hard. The bottom comes off super easily. It's just got that fan connector in there. So if you ever want to upgrade the fan, yeah, that's a pretty easy thing to do. And you can see on the left side of the screen there where the cable runs through. So it goes right under that little sensor area. So if you're really clever, you could probably, you know, put a different mount on there too, which would be a nice project. But I don't think I have the engineering chops to do that yet. And now this other panel comes off pretty easy, which is nice. Yeah, it comes all the way off, which is super duper nice. You can see all sorts of camera-y goodness in there. And now I'm just looking to make sure that, yep. So just there on the bottom of the screen, you can see where that cable connects. And it's got a little retention thing holding it on with just 2 screws. So that comes off super easy. And now there's another inside that one cover that's still left on. There's a little retaining screw that you can't really see very well, but it's in a really terrible spot. It's just like those little white things that are on the inside of the monitor assembly. But that was the hardest part of the entire thing, was just getting a screwdriver to that guy. And it was hard enough to take out, but getting it back on, that took me an embarrassing amount of time. So we've got that, and yep, just unscrewing some stuff. And now we'll take this cable out. And this is a little bit of a process too, so you sort of have to fold the connector onto itself so it becomes long and thin instead of, fat and wide, chodish, you might say. So I just took some electrical tape and wrapped it around to keep it on. And now you can see, the new cable comes through, and we can just pop it onto that little connector there. It goes on nice and easy. And then come on, Theo, you can do it. You can do it. Nice. That's pretty sweet. Feels good. And now we'll just put the little retention thing back on. So you can see it's just a little piece of metal. Super easy. Just zip that back on there. There's 2 screws. Don't know what happened there. But now we can get it on. And this whole process took me about the soundtrack of the Book of Mormon. So, an hour-ish. Oh, I think I wanted to run it underneath that cable. So now we've got the monitor plugged in also. I just took a battery out, and we'll see if it works. Hey, look at that. It works on the first time too. Can you believe that? Something working on the first time. Something that you get manufactured working on the first time with no prototypes. This was the prototype that we got. So there's that. And that's pretty nice. I'm feeling pretty good right now. Listening to the Book of Mormon, the musical. Very good. Would recommend. And now, the hardest part of the entire thing. I wish I could speed this up more. I probably should. Oh, actually, first, I'm just dusting out the heatsink because, why not? And looking at the inside of the camera, you can really see how they could make the new pocket camera work, is because most of this body of the camera is heatsink. And then there's a lot of audio stuff in there too. So there we go. Now this is the terrible part of putting in that little retention connector. So before I'm doing that, and the hot glue gun's heating up. And I love hot glue so much, so that'll just be some extra strain relief just in case. Since I'm in there, you might as well. Hot glue is one of those great things because it holds really well until you don't want it to hold, and then it comes off really easily. So this is just painful to watch me trying to get this screw in, but I really want the strain relief in there. I don't think I ended up cutting any of this out. It just plays through at 10 times speed. So tried some, there we go. Add some hot glue on there. And that helps out a lot. I don't think it goes in right away, but it definitely is super nice. And that just is to tack that screw into that little plastic clip so I can dig around in there without it falling off. All right, and now we're just hot gluing that cable in so that it, is a little bit nicer in there. Might be, being a little over ambitious, but I haven't had a problem yet. Knock on wood. Hopefully that wasn't too loud going through the mic stand. All right, and now we're just putting the sides back on, keeping it held in place. And then we'll probably do another test soon. So yeah, drop that bottom plate on, get that in. It's a little bit sandwiched in with the side plates, but I don't think it's too much. So you can probably just take that off without any trouble. Putting in the side screw things. That little parts tray organizer on the side is super duper handy. It was sort of a ripoff. I think it was like $10 for that little piece of plastic. But, you can't win them all. It's on Amazon, just like iFixit tool tray or something. You can probably find it cheaper elsewhere, hopefully. I mean, because it's like a 2-cent item. So there we go. Just putting back in some of the strain release. I'm sort of trying to figure out how exactly I want to run the cable. And in this one, this day, I just ran it straight back through the opening, then hot glued it in. But I ended up coming up with a better way of doing that you'll see, and you don't have to go through the whole brainstorming process. Because I was originally going to 3D print a bracket that'll be a spacer that you could attach stuff to. But then as I was just fiddling around with parts, I noticed a better solution that we'll see. And see, the screen still works, which is exciting. And then just putting in the rest of the screws and feeling real good about myself. And I think I cut out the part where I put a bunch of hot glue in because it's kind of embarrassing how much I used. So yep, the touchscreen still works. And look, you can put it on the side. So whenever you have an AC, you can put that on the side and they can like put in metadata and stuff. And then you can just deal with exposure. So they put in metadata and they can change white balance and stuff while you're off doing other stuff, talking to the director. So now you can see that's the original bracket that came with the thing. And I just took it apart. So I used some pliers and unscrewed it because there's some little lock washers on there. So it's just the part that goes onto the monitor, and the part that goes onto the camera is just in the parts bin now. So now you can see that hot glue that I put in there and just using some pliers to get it off. That's a sort of fabric-y sleeve on the cable. So stuff stuck a little better than normal. And there's a little piece of electrical tape on the back of the monitor assembly just holding the buttons in because it was annoying. So these screws go in pretty easily. And then I'm putting in a 1/4-20 bolt and nut in there. So we're going to hot glue the nut in, and the bolt just makes sure that it stays in place and doesn't get any goop in the hole. And I'm not too worried about using hot glue for that because all of the strength of the joint will be in compression and not in torsion. So it's held super solid ever since I put that in there. So it's just putting a little thing in there, and then we unscrew. There we go. Unscrew this sort of like buffer bolt. That's a fun word, buffer bolt. And I put in the magic arm, make sure it works. And it's a little bit, I wish the screw on my magic arm was a little bit longer because it's a little tough to get in there, but it works totally fine. And then I realized I don't really have a great solution for getting the cable out now, but I'm just running it through the side until I think of a better one. And this is how it's working now. I have some electrical tape on there to just cover up the sides, but now it hooks on there nice and solid, and it looks really, I'm not sure if looks the right word, but it works great. And I can finally run this on a shoulder rig and have the camera back far enough so it's balanced and can hold it for a long time, and it just feels really good. So I hope you enjoyed that, found it informative, or at least entertaining, or at least you can shake your head and say that darn Theo messing with his cameras again, because it'd be, as you saw, it was really easy to make the camera less suck. And like I said, I would have paid $500 more for that feature, and instead I paid $200 more, which is still too much. So if there's enough interest from people, if you guys want, if we can get like 50 or so people on board, I'll start like an Indiegogo or GoFundMe or one of those things, and we can get a batch of cable spun up if you want it. But if no one wants it, then that's totally fine too. I've got the one extra just in case. If someone like really wants it bad now, then email me and name your price, and we'll see what happens. But I thought it was a cool little project. It's always fun to open up the camera and see the inner workings and see how the sausage is made, so they say. So once again, hope you like this one. If you like the video, give it a like, share it around with people so you can at least laugh at, this goofiness. Let me know if you'd be interested in like a crowdfunding thing. I'd send the cable out and make a more detailed guide on how to do this. But yeah. Also check out MrMedia.com/products if you want to support the channel. If you just want cool stuff, either of those work. We keep putting more and more stuff up on there. I've been on a roll recently, so check that out. And I think that's it. Once again, I'm Theo with Mr. Media. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.